You ever walk into a room and feel like the joke started before you even showed up? Yeah, that was this morning. Same coffee machine, same desks, same fake smiles. Except this time, as I walked past the break room, Chase, yeah, that guy, tilted his chair back and grinned like a damn sitcom character. Yo, Renee, your cousin's still making that cafeteria coffee? You get a family discount or what? And just like that, boom, laughter. Loud, messy, that kind of laugh that's not even about the joke. It's about making sure I know it's me they're laughing at. So I laughed too, because not laughing makes you the angry black woman, and I'm tired of being that. I'm tired of pretending I'm not pissed. But God, I wanted to break something. Not in a rage kind of way, just to feel like something was in my control. I sat at my desk like I always do. Silent, efficient, disposable, fiddled with my pen, looked at my reflection in the monitor. Hair laid, makeup sharp, eyes screaming. I wish someone noticed the screaming. Mr. Danvers, the manager, the let's keep it professional guy, he was right there. He heard it all. He always hears it, and he always says the same nothing. But then there's Evan. Evan sits 3 desks down, always acting like he ain't paying attention. But I saw his jaw clench when Chase said that. I saw the vein in his neck twitch. We don't talk much here. Not about us anyway. It's not that he's ashamed. It's that he knows this place eats people like me alive and anyone standing too close. And I get it. But today felt different. Something in me snapped, and I think something in him did too. I kept pretending to scroll through emails that didn't matter, like I was reading something important, like I wasn't burning up inside. But my hand was shaking on the mouse, and I knew anyone paying attention could see it. Except nobody pays attention. Not really. Not unless you mess up. Not unless you become the problem they've been waiting to spot. That's the thing about being a black woman in an office full of people who think racism ended in the 60s. You either become the mascot or the monster, and they already picked which one I was. Chase was still chuckling to himself like he deserved a damn medal for humiliating me in front of the interns. And no one, not a single soul, told him to stop. Not even Danvers, who was pretending to be locked in on some spreadsheet, probably just counting the minutes until lunch like nothing happened. But Evan didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. He just sat there, shoulders stiff, eyes locked on his screen like it was taking every ounce of him not to stand up, like he was chewing on glass and trying not to spit blood. And the moment our eyes met, just a second, nothing more, he didn't look away. That's what hit me the hardest, not some grand act of defiance, just not looking away. Because that's what they always do. They look away, they pretend it didn't happen. They give you that tight-lipped smile when you pass their desk later, that little nod like, hey, sorry about your humanity getting stomped on back there. But Evan didn't do that. Still, he didn't speak, and I didn't expect him to. Because what could he possibly say in a room full of people who thought I was the punchline, and he was just another white guy who got the joke? But there was something brewing in the air between us. Not romantic tension, not in that moment, not like that. It was more like pressure, a weight, like we were both holding the same invisible box and neither of us knew how to set it down without breaking it. And I hated that I even needed him to do something. I hated how much it meant to me that someone, anyone, might not be okay with what they just saw. But more than anything, I hated that I'd been here 3 years and this still wasn't surprising. I don't even remember what I was typing. Maybe a status report, maybe just tapping random keys to look busy. What I do remember is the sound of Chase's damn voice still bouncing off the drywall like this was open mic night at a Klan rally. She's probably got edge control in her purse, y'all, he said. And I swear to God, if I had a stapler in my hand, I might have thrown it. And they laughed. Not just one or two, almost all of them. The type of laugh that rattles you. The type that says, we're comfortable here. This isn't your space. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. I bit the inside of my cheek like that was gonna keep the rage from spilling out of my mouth. Because what was I supposed to do? Stand up and flip the table? Scream. Say that again, you patchy-bearded mayonnaise-ass piece of... No, I sat there, like a professional, like a damn good employee, because black women don't get the luxury of cracking, not in front of them. I glanced at Danvers again. The man could lead a goddamn ethics seminar and still wouldn't open his mouth if his bonus depended on it. Just sat there with that dumbass tie he thinks makes him look ally-adjacent. But Evan, he was shaking, not visibly, not enough for anyone else to notice. But I saw his hand on the desk, fist clenched, knuckles white, and that's when I knew he was pissed, really pissed. But he didn't say a word, not yet. The thing is, I never needed saving. I wasn't some sad office pet waiting for a white guy to throw me a lifeline. But god damn it, I needed someone to acknowledge it wasn't okay. Just once. Just one damn person to say, hey, that's enough. Instead, they just laughed. And I sat there, trying not to cry, trying not to scream, trying not to let these people ruin my Tuesday. Still from Renee's POV? It was that silence, man, that heavy, suffocating kind. The kind that makes your skin itch because you know it ain't natural, like the calm right before a glass shatters or a dog growls low in its throat. I was sitting there, still, real still, pretending to type. Pretending I couldn't feel the weight of every eye that had laughed just minutes ago and was now trying so damn hard not to look at me. Then came the click. That tiny little sound, the one Evan's pen always made when he was about to speak in meetings or when he disagreed with something but was trying to stay polite. This time, though, it wasn't polite. His whole body shifted like a man shaking off a chain he'd worn too long. I don't get what's so funny about that, Evan said, his voice cutting through the room like a razor through soft fabric. It wasn't loud. Hell, it didn't even sound angry at first. It was the kind of calm that made people freeze, not because it yelled, but because it didn't. The air changed. You could feel the cold slide into people's spines. Chase turned halfway in his chair, still grinning, that frat boy smile plastered on his face like he thought Evan was about to join in on the joke. But Evan didn't smile back. No, seriously, he continued, pushing his chair back, standing up now, his palms flat on the desk like he was steadying something inside him. You've been running your mouth all morning like this place is a goddamn bar. You think you're funny, but you're not. You're just loud and a coward. I swear to God you could have heard a pin drop. Even Danvers blinked like someone just unplugged him. Say another thing about her, Evan said, pointing, not yelling, not even shaking, just steady like a goddamn mountain. Go ahead, one more thing. I'll say what she can't. And that? That cracked something in me. Not because he stood up for me like I needed a white knight. I didn't, but because for the first time in that stale beige-ass office, someone said it out loud. Someone said she doesn't deserve this shit, and they weren't black, and they weren't scared to lose their little lunch buddies over it. Chase sat back down like someone had just told him his trust fund got frozen. Evan didn't look at me, not yet, and I didn't look at him. But inside, something settled. Not peace, not yet, but the start of it. I didn't say anything right after, not because I didn't want to. God knows I had 1,000 things swirling in my head. Thank you, I'm sorry, screw them all, don't do that for me. But none of them made it past the damn lump in my throat. I just sat there, staring at my screen like it still mattered, like the report I was writing hadn't just become the most meaningless set of words in the world, because something had just shifted, not just in that office, not just in Evan, but inside me. A part of me, the one that had learned to keep my voice low and my head down, the one that had memorized the safest way to sit in a meeting so I didn't come off too assertive, she was rattled, shaking. Not because she was scared. No, because she had just watched someone else pick up a burden she didn't even know was visible. Later, when everyone had slithered off, Chase doing that half-assed chuckle like he'd just been misunderstood, Danvers retreating like he had nothing to do with it, the whole crew scattering like roaches when the light comes on, I stayed behind. Just a minute longer, just to breathe. Just to figure out what the hell to do with this heat sitting in my chest. Not anger, not entirely, something else, like recognition and rage and relief all wrapped up in barbed wire. And Evan? He stayed too. He didn't come over right away. He stood at the printer, of all damn places, like he suddenly needed 30 copies of nothing. I watched him pretend to fix a paper jam that didn't exist. Watched the back of his neck go red in that way it always did when he got flustered, or proud, or pissed off. I waited, giving him the grace he gave me earlier. When he finally walked over, he didn't sit, just leaned a hand on the edge of my desk, eyes not quite meeting mine. And when he finally spoke, his voice was so soft, it didn't match the man who'd just threatened to break Chase in two a few minutes ago. I shouldn't have waited this long to say something, he said, and even though it wasn't the point, even though it wasn't what I needed to hear, it cracked me a little. Because the truth, I hadn't just needed someone to stand up, I needed him to, and I hated that. I'm not your problem, Evan, I muttered, finally meeting his eyes. I've been handling this kind of shit since the first time a teacher called me well-spoken. I'm used to this. "Don't want you to be used to it," he said immediately, and God damn it, he meant it. There was a pause, a long one of those moments where something unspoken is so loud it almost echoes. "I know we never talk about it," he added, barely above a whisper now. "About us, about what people might say. I just figured, if I stayed quiet, you wouldn't get dragged into my mess." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because of course he thought this was his mess. "You think you're the one they'd come for?" I asked, shaking my head. "Evan, I live in this skin every damn day. You're just renting space in it when it's convenient?" It hit him. I saw it in his eyes, that flinch of truth, but he didn't run from it. He just nodded, took it in, held it. "I get it," he said. "But next time, I won't wait." And for once, I believed someone when they said that, because today, he didn't wait. Today, he showed up. And maybe, just maybe, that meant I didn't have to fight every battle alone anymore. I didn't think it would hit me at lunch. I figured I'd just eat my damn sandwich in peace like I always do. Quiet, alone, corner of the break room, earbuds in, pretending I was somewhere else. That's the routine. That's how I survive a place like this. You master the art of invisibility, and eventually you convince yourself you prefer it that way. But that day, I couldn't even take a bite, because all I could see was Evan's face, that flicker of fury, the sound of his voice cutting through the silence like a bullet, that look that said, "I dare you to laugh again." It echoed in my head louder than any podcast I tried drowning it out with. And the worst part wasn't what he said. It was how it made me feel, exposed. Because when someone stands up for you like that, publicly, without hesitation, without asking if you're okay first, it unravels something you've been keeping stitched up for a long damn time. I stared down at my sandwich like it was supposed to comfort me, but my stomach was twisted up in knots. Because now I couldn't stop replaying it all. The way Chase's joke hung in the air like a bad smell. The way the whole room waited for me to either laugh it off or make it awkward by not laughing. That's always the choice, right? Laugh, and you're the cool one. Don't, and you're the sensitive black girl. But Evan didn't laugh. He didn't wait for me to make it easier for everyone. He didn't need my permission to be outraged. And for some reason, that made me more uncomfortable than the joke itself. I looked around the break room. 2 women from accounting whispered near the fridge. Danvers came in, didn't even look my way. Chase? Nowhere in sight. Probably off pretending like none of it happened, like he hadn't just broadcast my blackness like it was a punchline. And me? I was sitting there trying not to cry into a ham and cheese sandwich, because this wasn't just about a stupid joke. This was about every time I swallowed my voice in a meeting so I wouldn't be aggressive. Every time I straightened my hair because curly meant unprofessional. Every time I changed how I said my name so people wouldn't mess it up. Every damn time I played small so someone else could feel big. And suddenly, that sandwich felt like sawdust in my mouth. I shoved it back into the bag and stared out the window, watching people I didn't know walk past, living lives untouched by this kind of quiet violence, the kind that doesn't leave bruises but damn sure leaves scars. And I thought about Evan again. Not just what he did, but why it mattered, why it cracked something open inside me. Because when he stood up for me, it didn't make me feel saved. It made me feel seen. And maybe that's even scarier, because now I couldn't go back to being invisible. Not after someone looked right at me and said, in no uncertain terms, "You don't deserve this." Not after someone who didn't look like me, didn't live like me, still refused to be silent just to stay comfortable. It changed something, and I didn't know what to do with that yet. It wasn't until I got home, shoes still on, purse dropped somewhere between the hallway and the couch, that the real question started eating at me. Not just why Evan stood up, but why the hell it took him to do it. Why didn't anyone else say something? Not Diane, who's been working next to me for 3 years and always brings me extra pens from the supply room like that's some unspoken bond. Not Brian from HR, who practically ran a diversity seminar last month with slides about creating inclusive spaces. And certainly not my manager, whose tight smile and "Are you okay?" eyes after the meeting made me want to scream. I know why, because it's easier to tweet support than show it when it counts. It's easier to amplify black voices in February and then go mute in May. It's easier to leave the burden of dignity to the person who just got humiliated. And the messed up part? I don't even think Evan knew what it meant. Not really. He was just mad. Mad the way people get when they see something ugly, and instinct kicks in before the fear does. I don't even know if he knew why it hurt me so much. I don't even know if he ever thought of me as black before that moment. Maybe now he can't unsee it. Maybe now he feels exposed. But that's not my problem. I sat on my couch in my work clothes for an hour, maybe two, just staring at the same damn corner of the rug where the stitching's coming loose. My phone buzzed twice. I didn't look. Probably my sister sending a meme or my boss pretending to check in. All I could think was how fast silence spreads, how nobody else said a damn thing, not because they agreed with the joke, but because calling it out would have cost them. What? A moment of discomfort? A side glance from Chase? Well, it cost me more than that. It cost me my appetite. It cost me my dignity. It cost me the ability to look in the mirror and believe, for just 1 second, that I belong in that office for anything other than what I represent to them. And what kills me is, Evan's the only one who noticed, the only one who acted, the only one who gave a damn. And I hate that I'm grateful for that, because I don't want to need saving. I want to not be in danger in the first damn place. But here we are. Don't you dare call me strong. Don't pat me on the back with your empty-ass encouragement like I'm some goddamn soldier who just took a bullet and kept marching. I'm not your resilient queen. I'm not your warrior. I'm a woman who got humiliated in front of a room full of people too scared or too spineless to say anything. You think I wanted to keep my chin up in that moment? You think I was proud of sitting there pretending that joke didn't make my skin burn and my throat tighten like I was about to choke on the silence? No. I wanted to flip that damn table and scream. But if I had, oh, then I'd be angry, then I'd be emotional, then I'd be the problem. So I swallowed it, like I always do, because this country doesn't just expect us to survive racism, it expects us to smile while doing it, to educate them gently, to nod politely when they say, it was just a joke, and to explain for the 1,000th time why it isn't. Let me tell you something, I'm not your fucking TED Talk. I'm not here to hold your hand through your guilt and your goddamn realizations. I'm tired of holding it all in so everyone else can stay comfortable. Evan asked me today if I was okay. He meant well, I know he did, and I almost told him, I'm fine, but I'm not. I'm not fine. I'm exhausted from playing chess in a room full of people who don't even know they're holding knives behind their backs. I'm done being the cool black coworker. I'm done being grateful when someone does the bare minimum of humanity. I don't want allies who whisper behind closed doors. I want someone who'll rip the damn door off its hinges when I'm being disrespected. So no, I'm not okay. And I don't need your comfort, I need your outrage. I stayed late at the office tonight, not because I had to, but because I couldn't stand the thought of going home without doing something, anything, that felt like reclaiming a sliver of control. I opened my inbox and scrolled through emails I'd seen 100 times before, reading every line like I was decoding a crime scene. HR memos, policy documents, diversity statements. What a fucking joke. Zero tolerance for discrimination, it said. Yeah, unless it's a joke in the break room, or a snide remark dressed up in fake concern, or a stare that lasts a second too long when I'm the only black woman in the room. I thought about printing the damn policy and walking straight to Amanda's desk and asking her if calling me a diversity hire was part of the culture of inclusion they're so proud of in the company brochure. I imagined slapping it down in front of her, right next to her little framed quote about kindness. Be the reason someone smiles today. The reason someone smiles? Bitch, I've spent weeks being the reason someone feels comfortable being racist and knowing nobody will call them on it. And Evan, God bless Evan. He stayed late too, pretending like he had some unfinished spreadsheet, but I saw the way he kept glancing over, waiting for me to say something. I didn't. Not yet. Not because I didn't want to, but because if I started talking, I wasn't sure I'd stop. And I don't need a witness to a meltdown. I need a co-conspirator in a reckoning. You know what scares people more than a black woman screaming? A black woman planning? And tonight, I planned. Not out loud, not with fireworks, but with a quiet, seething kind of clarity that settles into your bones when you realize no one's coming to save you, and maybe they don't need to. Maybe it's time you set the fire. So I opened a new document. No title yet, just a blank page and a blinking cursor. But it felt like the first time in a long time I wasn't blinking back tears. Because I'm not going to be silent anymore, and I sure as hell won't make it easy for them. The next morning, I didn't even wait for my coffee to kick in. My stomach was tight, my head buzzing, not from caffeine but from the mess of thoughts I carried all the way from my bed to my bus seat to my desk. I didn't care anymore if people thought I was being too emotional or hard to work with. If standing up for yourself made you the problem, then fuck it, I'll be the goddamn problem. I walked into the office like I had a secret, like the version of me that let things slide had packed her shit and left overnight. I sat down and opened that same empty document I'd started last night, but this time I gave it a name. Complaint regarding hostile work environment. That shit felt cold and clinical, but necessary. I started listing incidents, not just Amanda's comment about diversity hires, but all of it. The pattern, the silences, the way management turned their heads like they were watching rain hit a window, not a woman get humiliated in front of her team. The way my manager smiled and nodded but never said a word when it was happening, like he wasn't paid to lead, like my dignity wasn't worth disrupting his damn comfort. Halfway through typing, I paused. My hands were shaking, not with fear, but with rage. A clean, focused rage that felt like power, like I was finally peeling something out of me that had been festering under the skin for too long. You can't heal a wound you won't name. And for the first time, I was naming it. Every look, every joke, every time I sat in a meeting with people who spoke over me like I was the office ghost. Every moment I had to perform calm just to be respected. And just then, Evan walked by. Our eyes met. He didn't smile. He nodded, just once. Subtle, steady, like he knew. Like maybe he'd seen me unravel a little yesterday and understood that I wasn't just venting, I was loading, preparing. Not for war, but for something that would demand the same courage. I looked at him and, for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to hide how angry I was. I didn't feel embarrassed about wanting better, about demanding it. I didn't need him to rescue me. I needed him to see me, and he did. Later, I emailed HR and requested a meeting. No subject line fluff, just urgent workplace conduct issue. I copied in my manager too. Let them squirm. Let them sweat a little wondering what was coming. I didn't owe them quiet anymore. I didn't owe them a chance to fix it gently behind closed doors. They had their chance every time I swallowed my pride in that break room and smiled through their bullshit. And as I hit send, I felt something loosen in my chest. Not relief, not yet, but something like it, something like release. Because for the first time since all of this started, I wasn't surviving the day. I was taking it back, and whatever came next, I wasn't going to shrink for anyone. They called me in 5 minutes late, not because they were too busy, but because they wanted to remind me who controlled the clock in that room. Classic move, subtle power play. As if a few extra minutes in that cold waiting area would make me second-guess myself, calm down, maybe even walk away, but I wasn't that girl anymore. When I stepped into the HR office, the room was bright, too bright. White walls, glass table, 2 chairs already occupied, Martha from HR, and Darren, my manager. I swear to God, he looked like he'd just walked into a dentist appointment, not a meeting about racism in his damn office. Fake relaxed, hands loosely folded. That bland, non-committal expression white people wear when they're waiting to see how angry you'll get. I sat down without saying a word. Let them speak first. I'd done enough explaining already. Martha leaned forward. We understand you had some concerns about recent interactions in the workplace, she said, smiling like she was offering me tea. Her voice was smooth, trained, almost maternal. That corporate HR tone that makes you feel like you're the one causing the tension just by speaking up. I nodded. Then I looked directly at Darren. Let's not pretend this is just about interactions, I said. Amanda made a racist comment in front of half the office. You heard it. You said nothing. His jaw tightened for a second, just a flicker. Then he smiled, like he'd practiced it in the mirror. I didn't want to escalate in the moment, he said. Sometimes it's better to speak privately. No, I cut him off. You wanted to keep it comfortable, for her, for yourself, not for me. Martha's smile wavered. This is exactly why we're here, to create a space where these things can be addressed constructively. I turned to her, calm but sharp. You want me to be constructive? Fine. Then construct a workplace where I don't have to sit through racism and hope someone with power decides to give a damn. She blinked. No more smile. For a moment, the room went quiet. That stiff silence that follows a truth no one really wants to deal with. Darren shifted in his seat. I could see him calculating whether to push back or let the moment pass. He looked tired, but not the kind of tired I lived with. His was the tired of someone who'd been caught, not hurt. I stood up. I came here to say it out loud, so it's on the record. so no one gets to say they didn't know. What you do with that, what this company does with that, will tell me everything I need to know. And with that, I walked out. No dramatic exit, no slamming doors. Just the sound of my heels clicking down the hallway, each step heavy with the weight of years I'd spent being quiet. And for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt loud, without saying another word. The next day, something felt different. It wasn't loud, no big announcement, no dramatic company-wide email. Just a shift in the air. People didn't know whether to make eye contact with me or pretend I didn't exist. Some looked away the second I entered the break room, coffee cups suddenly too fascinating to look up from. Others gave me those half nods, the kind that say, "I'm not racist, I swear, but I also don't want to get involved." It was quiet, but not calm, like the silence right before a thunderstorm. Amanda, she didn't show up that morning. Word was she took personal leave. I didn't care. That woman could take her microaggressions and cry about them on a yoga mat for all I cared. But what did catch me off guard was Evan. He walked straight up to my desk before noon. No whispering, no checking if the coast was clear. He leaned down, his voice steady but soft, and said, "Can we talk?" I nodded. He motioned toward the fire escape stairs. We'd gone there before, when things were just beginning between us, when he was still too scared to be seen walking out with me, let alone touching my hand in the parking lot. But this time, it was different. As soon as the door shut behind us, he turned. I should have said something, in the moment, in that meeting, hell, weeks ago. I crossed my arms. "You think?" He didn't flinch. No excuses. I froze, not because I didn't care, because I didn't know if I'd make it worse. That pissed me off. You were scared of making it worse? I'm the one who gets to carry it, every time. You have the privilege of silence, I don't. He stepped closer. I know, and I'm done hiding behind it. There was a pause, long, heavy. Then he said it. "I told Martha I was with you, that we're together, and that I stand by what you said in that meeting." For a second I couldn't breathe, not because I was scared, but because I didn't expect him to finally grow a damn spine. My stomach twisted, not with anxiety, but with something that felt dangerously close to relief, to gratitude, to love maybe, though I wasn't ready to admit that, even to myself. He reached for my hand, and this time, I didn't pull away. "I'm not going to let them make you stand alone in this," he said. I looked him straight in the eye. "Then don't just stand with me, speak with me, loud." And for the first time, we walked back inside, together, past the desks, past the stairs, past the rumors, and every step felt like we were unlearning years of silence step by step. A few weeks later, I stood in front of a room full of new hires, fresh out of school, nervous in their crisp button-downs and wide-eyed with the weight of possibility. I wasn't there as a defendant, or the girl who got her voice crushed under meetings and manicured smiles. I was there as their new director of community equity. Yeah, that's right, director. It was a title they created after the board reassessed their values. A fancy way of saying they realized the silence was too loud to ignore. I didn't want the position at first, thought it was just a band-aid, a guilt gift. But then I saw who was watching. People like me, not just black women, but anyone who'd ever been spoken over, written off, or dressed down for the sake of culture fit. So I took the mic, and I told them the truth, not the polished HR version, the real one. I told them about the sting of 1,000 cuts so small they almost go unnoticed, about the way your voice shakes when you speak up, not because you're unsure, but because you know the room already made up its mind. I told them how bravery doesn't always look like marching or megaphones. Sometimes it looks like staying, speaking, not laughing along. And then I told them what I tell myself every damn morning. They don't get to define your worth. They never did. Evan was in the back, leaning on the doorframe, arms crossed, that familiar crooked smile on his face. Not proud of me, proud to be with me. That's different. That's earned. Afterwards, a girl with tight curls and trembling hands came up to me and said, "I didn't think people like us could ever be in rooms like this and not shrink." I just looked her in the eye and said, "Then let's keep taking up space."
Because stories like these aren't just stories. They're blueprints. For everyone who's ever been told they were too loud, too angry, too different, this isn't just a video. It's proof. And if you believe in voices that refuse to be silenced, don't just watch. Stay, subscribe. Be part of the change.